Did you get the, we were trying to send it. I think we were sending it to the wrong thing. So we got, okay.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Tuesday. It is now 6:30 p.m. and we will begin our Board of Education meeting for February 7th. Roll call.
Brown. Here. Edgecombe. President. Franklin. Morton.
Here.
Palmer. Here. Phillips. Here. Scott.
Here.
Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll turn it over for our mission statement.
Our mission statement is to educate, empower, and inspire the whole child.
Thank you. Board of Education report. I'll start with our Board of Education committee reports. We will start with our buildings and grounds, and then I will discuss myself as well as Ms. Franklin, our finance and
Buildings and grounds, we have a brief update. We did have our playground update. We have Meyer Yates and Seton Prairie needing additional equipment, so everything had been put on hold due to the weather. So after spring break, we should resume getting the playgrounds up and running. We also are doing asset tagging. Asset tagging is a thing where anything that is over a certain dollar amount, where we can keep track of what's in the building, how much money we're spending, making sure everything is accountable. And then the snow removal plan. We do have a snow removal plan for Colin Powell, which is Mr. Jordan. He is responsible for all of Colin Powell during any snow events from the months of November through March. We also have 2 snow trucks with plows currently that maintain other schools, and the custodians are doing those maintaining. We have a 3 to 5 year district maintenance repair plan that we will eventually vote on who we will be going with. You want to say who? Okay, so we will be going with TRIA after the findings. We did go out to additional vendors, and those vendors came in a little higher than TRIA, which we had asked that we get additional quotes. So TRIA will be the person that the program that we will be going with. We do have a health life safety inspection that will be going through. So it was already held. I'm sorry, January 25th. Basically, they go through the schools to ensure that everything is in compliance. We do have Seton Prairie renovations that we are going to move forward with for 2023 and 2023 and 2024 editions. The renovations to Seton Prairie is the 4 classrooms and a restroom addition, and the 2023 flooring upgrades to Seton Prairie. Replace remaining hallways with the LVT to match other schools. And the school safety update. We do have, each school has submitted an emergency operation plan. Each school is at 100% compliance for safety drills that should be completed by the present date. So we have been doing those. We do have upcoming ones that's supposed to be happening in March. The crisis threats assessment team has been developed at the district level and have met once a month since October. And we have recently hired 2 custodians on January 27th that are pending on boarding once hired. Pending onboarding, once hired custodians will be fully staffed for the school year. We are looking for 2 mechanics that we need to have. So please look for that. And that is all that I have for the building and grounds.
So myself as well as Veronica Franklin attended the committee meeting for our business HR department. And in that meeting, some of the good reports were we are now starting to get some of our funding in from our bringing in some revenue for that. So our expenditures are moving up, and she will touch base in regards to that. We do have updates in regards to our insurance renewal and the audit. And it was also completed. We would be voting on the final for that in closed session and discussing that in closed session. We do have our we did go over our detailed board review of education. So we are actually financially sane when it comes to that. We do have our vacancy list, which we still have grades 1, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd at Maria's that we need to fill. We do have, again, as she mentioned, the maintenance that we need to fill. We do have some middle school teaching, mathematics, as well as our science and social studies at Colin Powell that we're looking to fill. We are looking for an instructional assistant, preferably bilingual, and instructional assistants. And also, lastly, for the business department, in regards to our fund balance from December of 2022 versus December of 2023, we are, for 2022-2023, we are at $31,307,621.76. For 2021-2022, we were at $40,046,751.87. Again, as mentioned and discussed in our committee of the whole, some of our fundings are still slowly coming in, but we are still looking pretty healthy in our finances and in our fund balance. And that will conclude our committee of the whole, unless Ms. Franklin would like to add any additional. So that will conclude our committee of the whole. I'll go down to the next thing, which is our Board of Education retreat. We did have the opportunity to come together as a full board along with our superintendent and our administrative assistants to kind of build our board. I think we have come a mighty long way, and we are all in it for the right reasons. So we were able to grow. We did a workshop pretty much teaching us what is our reason why are we on the board. We were able to learn our superintendent and some of the things that she's looking forward to produce in our district, and learning to trust our superintendent. In our committee of the whole meeting, we were able to give out our reasons of pretty much not just the whys, but pretty much trying to understand each other collectively, and then pushing our agendas and what we want to have. We slowly touched base of just a brief minute on our strategic planning, but we will be getting back to that because it is up for review, which is next year. We also had a famous quote that we kind of took back from our facilitators, and it was, is it about teaching, learning, and children, or is it about rhetoric, politics, and adults? So each month in our board meeting, we will have this kind of reminding us of the reasons why we're here, what we're doing it for, and pretty much trusting the process of our superintendent and her leadership team to lead our district to be one of the top destination districts that we have. We did go over our STEM center and some of the goals that we're looking to have, and we were actually taught to not just bounce from when we push things out, we need to, evaluate it, come back in 3 months, process it. So you will be hearing a lot from us when it comes to our committees that we just began again. You'll hear a lot about how when we push out a program such as Epiphany, how we'll be bringing it back, evaluating, was it beneficial to our children, was it beneficial to our staff, was it beneficial to the community, and just so you guys can now start to really get updates on the things that we're pushing out when it comes to the STEM Center Epiphany, our evaluation tool process that we're using to make sure that when we're spending our taxpayer dollars that we're actually benefiting from them, and then just reporting it back out to the community so you guys are well aware of what we're spending our money for, and we're really pushing for transparency on this board. So that will conclude what we did at our retreat, and it was well worth it. We have our policy 110 read. It is our first read. It is a large document, so I won't go over the full thing because it's pretty lengthy, but we do have our policy 110 that we do need to read in our policies, and also part of that we do plan on going into our policy, making updates and changes as needed. And that will conclude the Board of Education report, and I'll turn it over to our superintendent for our superintendent's report.
Greetings, everyone, and I would like to second what President Morton said as far as our board retreat. It was very, very beneficial, and we want to let the community know and that we are united and that we are working together, and everyone is moving. We're moving in the right direction as we figure out all of the things that are necessary to thrive in 159. So I'm very proud of the work that we're doing. I'm going to talk about, briefly give an overview of our current enrollment as well as our attendance. So currently we have a total of 1,747 students in our district. We have 611 students at Colin Powell, 280 at Neil Armstrong, 333 at Woodgate, 260 at Mario Yates, and 263 at Seton Prairie. So we are really in great shape as it relates to enrollment. Now we need to discuss our attendance. So in January, Colin Powell was at 90%, Mario Yates at 87%, Neil Armstrong 92%, Seton Prairie 90%, Woodgate Elementary at 90%, and Woodgate Pre-K is at 90%. So definitely, community, we have some work to do around our attendance. We did meet and talk to the principals about what the plans were as it relates to their individual schools, and then parents, we really need you to send your children to school. Thank you. Now we'll have Officer Evans, our school resource officer. We've been working really closely with Officer Evans on some preventative measures, and he's just going to fill you all in on some of the great work that, in collaboration with myself, Dr. McCoy, and the schools.
Hi, Board. Thank you for having me. Again, my name is Officer Evans. I'm with the Madison Police Department. I am your school resource officer for District 159. Very proud of that. I'm so honored every day to be involved with the children of District 159. It's truly an honor and a privilege, and I take my job very seriously. Thank you for your support in ironing things out. It was great to have my chief here, but it's even better to have myself letting you know, giving you a face so you know who's running the programs. One of the things that myself and Dr. Brunson have gone over is technology. Our students are using technology in all sorts of different ways, and we've actually had a case where we've had some nefarious behavior. It's pressing. We're doing a technology survey right now in Colin Powell and waiting for that data to come in. Once that data comes in, then I'm going to not only give a presentation to Colin Powell and the feeder schools, but I would also, it's just important to give the presentation and the data to the parents. Because the thing that's nice in my position is that I can tell you that a lot of parents, everything surfaces in the schools. It comes to the schools where stuff happens during the weekend at home, they're on their technology, they're on their phones or laptops, computers, then all of a sudden Monday morning comes around and then there's some sort of altercation or some type of disturbance, and then it's the school's responsibility to resolve that. Well, I'm a problem solver, I'm also a resource, and what I would like to do is give parents the knowledge to help them combat this stuff from happening, to actually monitor in a responsible way their child's behavior online and so forth. So that, I'm looking forward to that. I did a survey back in 2020, but that data's kind of stale. When I first started, I did that survey. I want to do it again. I want to get the most up-to-date data, and also I'd like to extend the survey. I was in Woodgate in 5th grade class the other day, and I asked the students how many people had cell phones, and everybody in the classroom raised their hand. So apparently this goes even earlier, so we're going to push to even earlier grade levels because there are some things that are happening that are quite disturbing. And I remind myself that every day our children in the district and all over this country. They've been through a lot with this pandemic and so forth, and social distancing and isolation and everything. And we're now, I think, starting to see some of those things come home in our own backyard here that needs to be addressed. As a school resource officer, I come here as a resource, not only for myself, but I like to bring things in. I want to introduce you to somebody that's here today that is fairly new to the Madison community. They've been giving presentations to our police department and our officers, and has some outstanding resources for not only children, but adults too. Because our children are with the adults, but we got to make sure our adults are healthy and so forth too. And I'd like to introduce you to John from Kirby Rehabilitation. John.
Pleasure to be here.
I have some literature I'm going to read. Pleasure to be here. My name is John Perkins. I am the Street Outreach Case Manager for Kirby Rehabilitation, and I also work with various continuum of care partners with the Alliance and Homelessness. Kirby, we now have an office here in Madison, so we're in the Plaza, 600 Plaza Drive. Our mission is to provide quality mental health services to individuals and families, whether they be homeless or not. We want to support our officers as well as the community. We have various services that we're rolling out. We provide resources, of course, housing, because we work with the Alliance, so anybody that's in need of housing services and support, employment training, education, referrals. We also do all forms of counseling. We have our office, we call it the Comfort Zone. It's open 24 hours. So we just kicked off our mobile crisis team. As you know, there's going to be various mobile crisis units in the area, from Kirby to Aunt Martha's to some others. But what my job is to coordinate all those services for the community and also for our officers. We want to support them, right? We want to make sure that our community residents are safe, our officers are safe, and we want to diffuse some of the things that may be happening because of a mental health crisis or trauma. That's what Kirby wants to do. We're going to be on call 24 hours. We're able to make inpatient referrals for psychiatric or medical. Our mobile crisis team is very detailed, so we'll be able to triage a situation that maybe officers won't have to intervene in. So we're going to work hand in hand with them to support our community. We're going to make some literature here for you guys. I hope to come back and speak to as much as possible. Officer Evans is great. We're going to make sure that we get around to every place we need to in Madison to let them know that we are here to support our community.
Another thing that I'd like to point out is that I've been on the police department for 19 years. I became a range officer about 6-7 years ago. And one of the things that, as an officer, as a patrol officer, I never really went into Colin Powell. And we've had active shooter training that we never used that building. And as you know, that's our oldest grade levels are there. The chances would be greater than an elementary, but nowadays it's really hard to even say if that's true anymore. But I want to extend wholeheartedly to Dr. Brunson the opportunity for our police department. For the first time ever, we were in Colin Powell training over summer break, and all the officers now, they know all the floor plans. They know if something happens in the 6th grade wing, what color that is, in the 8th grade and so forth, and the overall layout of the building. That I have to say is very important, and in a situation like that, and but for Dr. Brunson, I don't know if it would happen, but it was a great thing. My hat's off to her about that opportunity to making sure that everybody's kept safe. So with that, I'll take any questions that you may have.
I think it's great. I think you're on the right track. Dr. Brunson, definitely a need. And Colin Powell should have been replaced for training in the beginning. But I mean,
couldn't agree more.
but it's everything so far. I like the cooperation with Kirby rehabilitations. I think that's going to be a great asset to us because I think most of the crises that we have something to do with some mental issues too. So, I mean, I'm really impressed and pleased with your presentation. And thank you, Dr. Brunson.
And will, some of this training, will it ever include the students? You know, we have active shooting and you see on television where it will have the students at some.
We're required to have that, so that's part of, that's part of what we're required to have, those after shooter drills at every school. So, we'll be running those through all the Saturdays.
Awesome. And this Kirby rehabilitation, is there a cost associated with it, or can anyone come?
Anyone can go.
Thank you.
My only question would be, how often are you able to go to our Richmond Park School?
That obviously is in another village, but I have been there just for dropping off, actually, Kirby literature I dropped off there because I want all our schools to have the same resources. So I do go in and I do make sure the active shooter drill and so forth that's done in the first 90 days of the school year, I make sure that they're in compliance too. I reach in and talk to the principal, make sure everything's okay. But the actual running of that drill is done by the Richmond Park Police Department. But I talked to their SRO too, who they have, and we're on the same sheet of music. There are some ideas going forward as far as Alice program and so forth that you may or may not know about. To me, that's a good program because what it does is it gives you options. And what we're trained now is very passive, but in a situation, the more tools that you have, the more options that we have at your disposal, not only as a teacher but as a student, the better outcomes that will be. So hopefully that'll be in the future as well.
One last question, just one more. So, like, would Matson work in tandem with Richmond Park, or would we work with neighboring school districts to do active shooting drills? For instance, when this happens, it doesn't just stay with the one police department, all come in to assist. So is there ever going to be training where you're all together working as one unit?
We have done training, actually at the Lincoln Way North. Will County actually has a very big training there, and we go over all the protocols and so forth and the responses. But in an actual incident like that, you're going to have so many different people that what we do is we train interchangeably, that we're all coordinated the same, we all use the same language, we all use the same tactics. There is radio bands on our frequency that we can reach out to Will County and vice versa that we do. So it's everybody's on the same sheet of music, but the response is just we never know. I mean, we've had shooting incidents where all of a sudden, over my career, I'm like, what is Juliet Police Department doing here? You know, it's just you never know what you're going to get. But the response is always the same. The tactics, the protocols are the same.
And lastly, Officer Evans is now attending our crisis management and threat assessment team meetings. So in the past, he wasn't part of that, but as of this year, he's attending those meetings and working to get some actual training for the members of the team. So it's been a great resource.
One of the things that I spoke to Dr. Brunson about is there's a lady, Laura Black. She's from Western Illinois University. They do safer schools. I forget what the acronym is, but they actually do behavioral threat assessment training. Not only do they do that, which is the basics, but they do also digital threat assessment training. Since you have this beautiful building, we're lucky that Dr. Brunson's invited her and her staff to conduct both the basic threat assessment and the digital. So we're looking forward to that, coordinating that in the near future, bringing that to our district and surrounding districts as well.
Can you give me an idea of what an average day for you is in interacting in our schools?
Absolutely, absolutely. First thing I can tell you is that every day is different. It's like a box of chocolates. What I do is try to vary my locations and so forth. Obviously, we have multiple schools here, but what I do normally is that I'll do traffic enforcement in our school zones. I try to monitor the school zones. I try to be in the school. One of the first things that I do is do the walk around, checking doors, making sure there's no open doors, because that is, in the past, we've learned as law enforcement, that's the number one weak point, is the open doors and so forth. Historically, our schools have done a very good job of keeping things secure, which I'm proud of. But every time they're not, I do come to that principal and let them know. After that, I do such things as bullying presentations for the older kids. I do an information talk with the young kids, all the way from kindergarten to about 3rd grade, where I come into the classroom, and you guys remember London Walker. She was honored about 3 years ago, and that's where I got that information from. London Walker, her mom fell ill. She was able to dial 911. She was able to know her address. She was able to know her mom and dad's real name and phone number. I teach those 3 things to our youngsters to make sure that not only can they save potentially their life, but somebody else's life or their own family members. And that's credit to London Walker. Wherever she is, London, I tip my hat to you. The bullying presentations I give to our older students, it's really powerful. I give them, again, real life expectations, because one of the things that as adults, we would love to say that bullying goes away, but everybody up here on this panel can probably attest that we call bullies something different when we're adults, but it still continues. The only difference is that we have the skills and the experience to handle those situations. Well, we need to give those students that skills and abilities to and the resilience to stay strong and to stay composed and to not go off on a limb. But that's one thing I'm most proud of myself personally, is giving those students those skills.
I'm not trying to add to your to-do list, but I'm going to add to your to-do list.
Absolutely.
But you know, you said that you do the bullying talk or education for Colin Powell. Maybe I've come to find out that things are just starting earlier and earlier. So perhaps before they get to Colin Powell, maybe the 5th grade level, kind of ease that in somehow. So
We're already, yes, we're already doing that. One of the things, my predecessor, he concentrated most of his time and energy in Colin Powell, and I get that. Colin Powell, being the middle school, is going to be the busiest. But when I came in three years ago, and COVID messed a lot of things up for me, threw me for a loop in my progress, but is getting into the feeder schools, the elementary schools, and that where we can shape those minds and so forth, and give them an early head start. And not only that, but frankly, seeing a police officer all the time, reading stories, engaging with them. I was in one of the math classes at Woodgate School the other day, doing fractions in a math class. You know, just interacting, and it's so much fun. I mean, and the kids enjoy it, I enjoy it. But it's, like I said, it's just an honor and a privilege to be in the classrooms, to be in these schools, to see the students, and to really get to know them, and them getting to know me, and keeping everybody safe.
Last thing, you said that you're currently doing a technology survey
Yes.
at Colin Powell. Other than who has phones, what else do you expect to, what kind of data would you gather from a technology survey?
There is about 20, 21, I think we added a question, maybe 22 questions and so forth. It's very simple stuff. For example, how many hours are you connected to being online? What social media apps are the most popular? Very basic questions, but then, you know, well, if you had a problem on social media, how comfortable would you be telling your parent? Is a cell phone a right? And getting students' mindset, getting not only data from students, but sharing it with the parents as well, and sharing with the staff, with the school staff as well. I think it's a very powerful tool. The only thing that I think that I should reconsider is giving a survey in our feeder schools as well, because like I said, I was in the 5th grade class and everybody rose their hand. I'm like, uh-oh. So, but one of the questions too is that what grade level did you get your technology? So it's a lot of good information that gives us a good overall picture of what's exactly happening. Thank you.
All right, now we have the teacher learning and accountability team, presentation led by Mrs. O'Donovan.
Good evening. I'm Lisa O'Donovan. I am a proud member of the Teaching, Learning, and Accountability team, also known as the TLA team. Last month, we had the privilege of sharing some of the wonderful things that we as a team have been working on in terms of curriculum and instruction, as well as with our new partner, Educational Epiphany. So we wanted to take some time tonight to showcase some of the wonderful things that are happening within the classrooms. So I'm actually going to turn it over this evening to our first teacher, who's going to share with you some of her experiences and what she's seeing within her classroom. I'd like to bring up Mrs. Lisa Simmons. She is a first grade teacher at Woodgate Elementary School. I am the proud TLA team member who gets to work with her and her partner. Ms. Simmons has really been instrumental in our implementation of Educational Epiphany and their resources. She has embraced everything that we have rolled out to her with the performance-based objectives. Every student has their objective posted on their desk. She has them individualized for them, as well as the explicit teaching of academic vocabulary. So I'm going to turn the floor over to her so she can share some of her experiences with you. Ms. Simmons?
Good evening. I am Lisa Simmons, first grade teacher at Woodgate Elementary. Go Vikings. Well, my experience with Educational Epiphany has been wonderful. I've learned a lot. So I've been teaching for 22 years, 19 years in this district, 19 years in the same building at Woodgate Elementary. So I went from kindergarten to 3rd, back down to 1st. So I've kind of been all over the place. But what I can say about Educational Epiphany is that it has really stretched me as an educator. They always say you can never be too old to learn, and I truly embrace that with Educational Epiphany. Because one of the things that I know Dr. Dickey always stresses to us is that what does the language mean? So oftentimes, especially there's teacher ease and lingo that parents and students don't really understand. And sometimes teachers themselves really don't understand that teacher ease that we use. And Educational Epiphany has helped us as educators to actually unpack what that means. If you take the time to go through these materials, I'm not a digital person, I'm old school, I need hard copies. And Lisa, so gracefully, I called her in a panic one night, like, can I get some hard copies of this? Because I'm not a computer person. So she did that, and it just kind of opened my eyes because I was able to actually, when I thought I knew what those standards meant, there's a lot in those standards that we kind of take for granted. And if you don't dig and push and study, you kind of overlook those little basic things that are actually important to students learning and understanding. And so with Educational Epiphany, I'm excited because it helped me to become a better educator. And then I understand that we've got some data that we looked at that I haven't had an opportunity to see, that I'm excited to see, but that has been my experience. I love it. I think it's a wonderful learning opportunity for us. And I'm working with you guys to help the teachers understand that it actually really is beneficial.
Thank you, Ms. Simmons. So as Ms. Simmons said, we're going to share some of the data because the proof is in the pudding, right? So we have all these wonderful things, so we want to see the needle actually moving. So we know that this is going to be a slow progress, but we are definitely making that climb on the mountain. So if we take a look here, we have our ELA data for the fall.
as you can see, this is for all of first grade at Woodgate. 47% of the students were at or above the 61st percentile in the fall. So that falls in the green and the blue. So our high average and our average fall ELA. If we go to the winter ELA, you will see that we now have 52% of our students that are at or above the 61st percentile. So an increase of 5% of our students that have made some progress from the fall to the winter. We also see some growth here with the math because Ms. Simmons and her team, we are not only applying these strategies to ELA, but also to our other content areas. So our fall math data, we had 47% of the students at or above the 61st percentile. When we look at the winter, we are now at 55% of our students at or above the 61st percentile. So an increase of 8 percentage points. So we really have seen some tremendous growth at that point, and we know that this will be slow progressing, but we are taking steps in the right direction. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Simmons before I go on?
Okay. I'm just curious, you said that it's really helped to stretch you, and you're a 22-year veteran teacher. Can you just give us one idea of an epiphany that you had using this program?
Okay, so I can think of one right off the top of my head. Excuse me. How often do we use the word identify? We all think we know what the word identify means. And then when you say, okay, one of the standards is to identify the main topic or the main idea. But then when you say identify to a first grader, they think they know what the word identify actually means. And then when you go to actually probe and really, really see if they know what that word means, they have no clue. They're thinking, I got answers like, I can tell you, but I don't know how to say it. Or I don't know. You know, those are the answers that I got. So to identify something, you first have to recognize what it is. So you gotta have a hook. Gotta have something to hook that knowledge onto. And then once you recognize it, you can name it. If I say cat, everybody here instantly got a picture of a cat in their head. But if I said tabby, could you recognize and name that cat is actually a tabby? Most of us can. And so that's the same thing that kids do. They think they know the basics, but they really haven't taken a deep, deep, deep dive into what that looks like and what that means. So that's one of the epiphanies that I had, is just the academic vocabulary. Just being able for them to understand what identify means. It means to recognize and name. So if they get it in first grade and they go to third grade and they take the IAR test and they see something that says identify, I would hope that those 17, 18 students that are in my space would say, oh, I remember that from Ms. Simmons. That's recognizing explain and recognizing name. So that's one of the epiphanies that I had as we go through our educational system from pre-K all the way through college and really truly don't understand what that academic language means. And without that, they won't ever be able to attack those IAR type questions. So we have to start early, and we all have to speak the same language from pre-K through 12th grade and beyond.
Thank you, Ms. Simmons. And that was one of the wonderful things that about Educational Epiphany is that we all are speaking the same language, right? We have our wonderful curriculums, but those change. So we want to make sure that we are equipping our students with universal language from the standards, and Educational Epiphany does that for us. So they're teaching identify in kindergarten, they're going to hear it in 6th grade as well, so that language carries over.
So do you have that information for all the buildings?
So what we did is we pulled a couple of teachers, just to showcase and have them share with you. I have a couple of other teachers that we're gonna highlight so that you can get a better idea. So next we have Ms. Julielle. She is a 5th grade teacher at Neil Armstrong. She not only has done a fantastic job of implementing the performance-based objectives, explicitly teaching all of that academic vocabulary, but she's also pulling the resources within those informational guides. So she's been using the short text in there as well as the graphic organizers. She has really found that the graphic organizers is giving her more bang for her buck than what she's finding in HMH. So she's utilizing those more frequently to supplement her small group instruction. So I do have a video. Let's see.
Hello, my name is Shauna Janelle. I'm a 5th grade teacher at Neil Armstrong Elementary School. And I just wanted to talk to you guys quickly about how I'm using the educational activity resources. Starting with the resource guide, for sure, the interpretation and resource guide is definitely helpful when it comes to standards, because I can remember myself in the 5th grade team spending lots of time trying to write those 2-part objectives, and now they're already written for us, and that saves so much time when we're lesson planning from week to week, and pretty much cuts our lesson planning in half, because that was a big chunk of what we were doing. Also, the academic vocabulary is very extensive, is very detailed in comparison to HMH, which it's kind of presenting itself as though, it's building from lesson upon lesson, but this academic vocab, it takes it as though you know nothing and starts from scratch, so it kind of builds the foundation. So we definitely are using that instead of HMH, or I should say in addition to the HMH vocab for lesson planning as well, and going over that with the students prior to the lesson so that they know what each word means and gives the definitions, and it just lays everything out perfectly for you. Another part of the planning tool is the guided questions, which pretty much steers your entire lesson. I've made Kahoots based on the guided questions. I've made exit tickets, quizzes, all based on the guided questions. It's a helpful thing if you wanted to do it as a pre-assessment. It's been wonderful, and my students like it, especially when it's in the form of a Kahoot, of course. They love it, and it kind of helps to show you where they should be and in what order. One other thing is the baseline knowledge. It's under the interpretation of the standard and the resource guide, but it is what I call baseline knowledge, what the students should already know prior to going into the lesson. That is helpful for teachers because sometimes we have a blind eye to what they should know. We make assumptions and there are gaps there, and that helps to fill the gaps and let us know, kind of what we're missing, and kind of that works as a second set of eyes on what they need to know prior to, building upon that knowledge and entering a new objective. So that is most definitely helpful. The last 2 things I want to talk about are the passages and the graphic organizers. The passages that are presented is wonderful how it's organized by standard. You can search for it, like currently we're working on Central Idea in my class, and I can pull those passages. Just last week, I used a couple of those different passages, one that was kind of on a higher level and one that was on a lower level for my small group. And for my smaller group, they just highlight. I just had them simply just highlight what's important in the text. And that was helpful to go along with the lesson that I was teaching. For my higher level students, I had them do the text and the graphic organizer. So read the text and then fill in the graphic organizer. And I particularly like the graphic organizer better than HMH because it has the definitions for the academic vocab on the top right hand corner. It has the standard on it. So everything kind of flows and the students don't have to look back at anything just for some reason if they forgot the definition. Key detail is already there. So I'm very thankful. I appreciate the resource and I love using it. Like I said, it cuts lesson planning time and the lesson itself in half, and helps you focus on getting the students where they need to be.
So just to elaborate a little bit further on what she was talking about, one of the, and Ms. Simmons referred to it as well, the critical concepts, and what that does for our teachers is it really breaks down the standards. So we as teachers need to have a better understanding of
what are those concepts that fall within the standard that students need to master to get them to that level that the standard is expecting them. And the critical concepts does that for us in that interpretation guide. So that's the most eye-opening part for our teachers, is really getting a better understanding of what
Hello, my name is Shana Janelle. I'm a
Thank
fifth grade
you.
teacher.
A better understanding of what those standards are asking of our students so that we can be sure to teach all of those critical building blocks to get them to the standard.
I think this goes along with what Ms. Simmons said, making sure that we all have an idea of what we're talking about. Because you and Ms. Juniel kept referring to HMH. Well, us non-teachers, some of us don't know what HMH is. So would you explain that?
Sure. HMH is our core reading curriculum that teachers utilize. So it's a resource that teachers are utilizing to do their ELA instruction on a day-to-day basis.
So
It is called Into Reading for our K through 5 building and Into Literature for our 6 through 8 building. We as a TLA team call it HMH. And for our math curriculum, we have Reveal Math. That is a K-8 curriculum. So those are the instructional resources that the teachers are using to plan their instruction around the standards. So Educational Epiphany really breaks down our standards for us, and then HMH and Reveal Math are the resources that we use to teach those standards. Okay? Here are some examples of the materials that she used. So you can see that she has a passage that she used, and she really talked about how she differentiates her instruction for her students. So having her students highlight within the passage, great strategy for using text evidence, being able to go back and find your text evidence. And then this is an example of one of the graphic organizers that she referred to. What's nice about these graphic organizers is that they have the standard right listed on there, as well as the academic language that's there. And that is that universal academic language. So they're hearing the same definitions in kindergarten all the way up to 8th grade. Okay? A little bit about her data. So we pulled her ELA. Now our 5th grade teachers are departmentalized, so they each teach different content areas. So she teaches ELA. So her ELA data from the fall, you will see that she has 6 students that are at or above the 61st percentile with a median percentile of 54. So the median percentile of her class was the 54th percentile. When we look at her spring data, you will see she now has 8 students that are at or above the 61st percentile, and her median percentile is the 62nd percentile. So there is growth of 2 additional students who are now achieving at or above the 61st percentile, as well as an increase of 8 percentile in the median class percentile. So tremendous growth that she's seeing within her students here. Any questions about that?
Yes. The teachers seem to appreciate it. How has the response been from the students? Are they really able to immediately embrace it, or you have to bring them along? How does that work?
The students have been wonderful in this implementation, really embracing the instructional strategies that we're rolling out, as well as the teachers are implementing within their classroom. One of the things we did when Dr. Diggy was here last time was do our instructional walkthroughs, and we polled students and hosted student interviews and asked them about the academic language. And it was wonderful to see that they were able to articulate some of that academic language. So it's really making improvement within the classroom with our students as well, because they're able to talk more about the academics that are happening within the classroom.
Do you have any data tonight from the middle school level?
I'm sorry?
Do you have any information at the middle school level tonight?
The data tonight is not from the middle school. We pulled from the K-5 for today, yes. And I believe the data may be coming further down the road in terms of the overall, yes. We just wanted to highlight some of those teachers that really have embraced it and are running with it, so that you all can see the positive impact that it's having across our district. Next, we have a kindergarten, Miss Dominique Burrell. She's kindergarten at Maria Yates, and she really also has embraced the use of the academic language. It's wonderful to see it happening from the get-go, starting at that kindergarten level. So we have her data from the fall. You will see that she has 7 students at or above the 61st percentile with a median percentile of 43. When we go to the winter, she now has 8 students that are at or above the 61st percentile, with 7 of them falling in the 80th percentile or above. And her median percentile went to the 64th percentile. So tremendous growth, which is at kindergarten level, that's what we need. We need to make sure we're setting that foundation so they're set up for success as they continue to move through.
Hello, my name is Ms. Dominique Burrell, and I have the pleasure of working at the best school district 159, and let me be even more specific. I had the honor to work at Maria Yates Elementary School as a kindergarten teacher. Woo! Kindergarten is the best grade ever. Oh my goodness. The growth that you can see in your students from year to year, it compares to no other. But I have to say also thanks to District 159 TLA team, and especially Ms. V. Ms. V is outstanding. She's phenomenal. She makes sure that every week when we have our meetings that she keeps us on target, the entire kindergarten team. And I just want to be honest, without Ms. V, this year would not have been as spectacular with my student growth.
And yes, she is that enthusiastic all day long with her kindergartners.
Okay, so this year, through our CLA meetings with the fabulous Ms. V, we have been working on breaking down Dr. Dickey's wonderful resources. Now, I use the resources in my whole group instruction as well in my small group instruction. And the resources, they help to drive my instruction. So for instance, we use word cards. For instance, read means to do again. And the scholars will tell you, oh, for instance, if we retell a story, we are telling that story again.
So these are just a couple of the teachers that we work with that we wanted to share with you, some of the wonderful things that are happening within the classroom. This is happening across the district. We wish we had time to share all of the teachers with you, but we just wanted to give you just a little taste of what's happening and the wonderful progress that we're seeing within our district. Any questions? Thank you very much. I will then turn the floor over. I believe Ms. Owens is up next, correct? Thank
That
you
is
very
Mr.
much.
Butler.
I want to call you Miss Legend. Thank you, Miss O'Donnell.
Of course, that's okay. You can still call me that. That takes me back to the good old days. That was my maiden name. I'm feeling my age these days, let me tell you. Thank you. Get your phone.
And while we're making a switch, I do want to just say and acknowledge the hands-on, in-person, in-class work that our TLA team is doing. And we know the resources are amazing, but the work of going into the classrooms, going and working directly with the teachers, that is the lever that's making this happen. So I just want to say that.
Sorry about that, technical difficulties. Good evening, board and community members. Okay, so we just have a presentation in the spirit of what Dr. Brunson has been talking about in regards to having a district that is sought after in the Southland area.
And so we want to make sure our human resource department partners with our administration, and we are competitive to the other districts, and we have we're offering benefits and compensation that is in line with the talent that we have. And so first, we have a couple different agenda items that we'll go over. First is a compensation philosophy, placement or rationale within salary ranges. We'll be in a closed session, we'll have a salary range proposal that we will present to the district. We'll have a recruitment update, and then we'll talk about partnerships. So our core value of transparency. We believe that transparency is of paramount importance and should be facilitated to the greatest possible extent to establish trust between all district stakeholders. The salary range that we will propose creates a fair and equitable process based on experience, education, and market data. This will eliminate bias based on any single determination and creates a consistent discussion between human resources, stakeholders, and the Board of Education on appropriate compensation. One of the constant feedback that we have gotten from employees is that their salary has been based on what someone else made in their position. And so we want to create a systematic way to determine what salary and benefits should be paid to an employee based on the complexity of their role and their job responsibilities. So factors affecting placement within the salary range would be as follows. So experience, education, talent pool, and then also market conditions. And so I just want to enter on market conditions. Specifically, the PowerPoint that we have is focusing on district office, but we want to do another study again for our teachers and certified staff. And it's important to be aware of the market and the rate at which we're able to draw talent into the district. And so sometimes we may have to make changes or go outside the box to draw talent that can move the district forward, to implement an epiphany, to implement different programs that can move the line for our students. So we have the market index or market rate. The market index refers to how internal employees compares to what the external market rate is paying for very similar jobs or positions. So from our research currently right now, 80% of district office employees are paid on par with the market rate as it relates to similar positions, which is a very good find that we're paying our people equitably. For our administrators, so 80% of building administrators are in step with market average compensation, and then for our district office administrators, about 50% are below market average. Another aspect is workplace belonging. Ms. Vance is going to speak about the recruitment and the job fairs that we're going to. And what's important is that once we get the employees in, that we are able to foster an environment that is diverse, that is inclusive. And so just a couple bullet points here. Belonging in the workplace is an employee's sense that their uniqueness is accepted and even treasured by their organization and colleagues. Belonging is an accumulation of day-to-day experiences that enables a person to feel safe and bring their full, unique self to work. And so we already have a culture here at District 159, but we don't want to be so entrenched in our current culture that when diverse worldviews, diverse mindsets come, they don't feel welcome. We need the diversity so that we can continue to be cutting edge. Elementary School District 159 is poised to excel not only in educational achievement, but in workplace culture. Another point is when workers feel like they belong in an organization, we reap benefits, substantial benefits. An increase in productivity up to 56%, increase in job performance up to 75%, and reduction in use of sick days, and 50% reduction in turnover. And so we already know that the talent pool is thin when it comes to teachers and our certified educators, and so we want to make sure when we have them, we're bringing them into the district that they stay. We want them to become tenured. We want them to then become administrators. And so we want to be with them through the entire employee life cycle. So it is critical to the educational success of our students that employees feel welcome, needed, and valued, building genuine connections and pathways that they can contribute ideas. And so it's very important for our students. I have children, we all have children in the district, and we have family members. Everyone went to school, and so it's important to have a consistent experience as it pertains to the administrators who are giving direction and leading, all the way down to the business office, so the administrative arm of the district is healthy and flowing the way where it should be. And so that can only take place if we have consistent leadership and we continue to target and lower employee turnover so that we have a consistent experience, because it trickles down to our students. So workplace diversity. Workplace diversity is defined as a company which employs people having various characteristics such as gender, age, religion, race, ethnicity, and cultural background. Inclusion is the end result of proper application and value attributed to the diverse workforce an organization possesses through daily interactions, acknowledgement, and unique worldviews, and meetings where all ideas are valued. So inclusion is when we're doing diversity well, and so now we have a diverse workforce, we've hired them, they're in the seats, they're in the classrooms. And inclusion happens when we don't stifle their voices at the meetings or in the churches or in the day-to-day. And so we want to have an inclusive, we want to graduate from diversity. We are hiring diverse candidates who are competent and are able to move the district forward, but we want to have an inclusive district. That's what we're targeting for the rest of this year and beyond, so that their voices are heard and we can continue to grow. So retention. So retention is the integral effort on employers to reduce the percentage of voluntary employee resignations. This effort does not solely rest on human resources, but throughout the organization. So we've been talking with building administrators to get everyone involved, teachers, support staff. We can all create an environment where employees feel welcome and where they want to stay. Employees are less tolerant of unsatisfactory work experiences as job security is on the rise, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So there's a lot of different jobs that are available on the market. Employees are less tolerant of experiences and workplaces that are toxic. And so we want to make sure that our district is a place where people are coming to and not running from. Experienced employees deliver a superior customer service experience as they are more knowledgeable about employee issues. And so we have administrators with 10, 15, 20 years of experience. We have a Dr. Brunson, we have Mrs. Fields, we have a Dr. Cortez McCoy, we have Ms. Janisa Owens, and so that's just a snippet, but all of the collective experience, if they were to vacate their positions, we have to look at how long it would take to, number one, fill their position, but then it usually takes 1 to 2 years for a new candidate to then be able to have the same level of productivity. And so we want to make sure we pay attention to the experience and treasure that within our district. When we have a good employee experience, employees become brand ambassadors, aiding in recruitment efforts, helping to attract in-demand talent. I can't tell you how many times we've had community members, we've had other teachers say, hey, this person is going to apply, please, look out for their application. Just working on a partnership with ETI for our HVAC and our custodians, Ryan Turns, because he has such a good experience, he was willing to put his name on the line and say, you should work with District 159. And so that's what we want to do. So the cost of turnover. On average, it costs the company 6 to 9 months of an employee's salary to replace, with a total cost ranging up to 2 times the employer's salary. According to Robert Half, a human resource consulting firm, 38% of employees leave their jobs as a result of inadequate salary and benefits. But it's more than just financial. So the intangible losses include team morale, momentum, and institutional knowledge of processes that are critical to internal operations. This translates to missed deadlines and heavy workloads for employees who stay. In my experience, I've also seen once you have turnover from one employee, you can start to create a domino effect with other employees. On average, it can take, like I said, stated before, 1 to 2 years to reach the productivity of a new employee, of someone who is experienced. Another aspect or concept that we'll be looking at when it comes to compensation is pay compression. It's also referred to as salary or wage compression. This occurs when one or more employees is very close to the pay of more experienced employees in the same job or those in higher level, more complex positions. And so our hope is that with the salary range, we are differentiating the job complexity, the job responsibilities, so that we don't have someone who is being evaluated making more than their evaluator.
Speaking of that, I'm sorry to cut you off. You are able to go over what you were expecting to go in closed session. You can go over the open session.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just some of the data sources. We didn't just make it up.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
For those of you that don't know me, my name is Rayshawn Vance. I haven't had the pleasure to meet all of the board members one-on-one personally, but here I am. So thank you all for this opportunity. I am excited to be here at 159. This is more than just a job, it's really a calling. So that being stated, let me show you why. Recruitment snapshot. So since I started at the end of July, and our human resources team has been developed throughout the course of the fall season, 58 offers have been made since August. 47% have accepted offers, and of that, 27 of those individuals were certified staff members. The vacancy list has dropped by 50% since August. Yes, we still have some work to do, but we already have some interviews in place with, and I'll tell you about that as we go along with this presentation, which I just clicked off. Okay, here we go. All right, recruitment partnerships. All right, some of our partners, Governor State University. We've been in talks with them about a variety of opportunities that they provide to the community in Will County and throughout the state and Cook County. Some of those opportunities that we are embarking on for our staff members include free training for paraprofessionals. There are some programs in place for the community at large, but this is a great opportunity for those staff members who are looking to advance their skill sets. And the curriculum includes the benchmarks for development for children, classroom management strategies, instructional control, positive behavior supports, and mentorship for 1 month post-certification. This paraprofessional training program that Governor State offers is completely online and it is self-paced. There are income limits that are involved with it, but it's a great opportunity for those who are looking to tap into the education market and get their feet wet, just have a love for children and want to be close to the educational realm. Golden Apple. Thank you, Dr. Bronson, for introducing us to this. But Golden Apple Foundation, with this partnership, we have access to an exclusive job board for their students, their scholars, who are looking or who are preparing for their careers as educators and administrators eventually. So they have both new and veteran teachers that we can examine and we pull for interviews. We can utilize them for hosting recruitment events with partner districts and the like. And GAF, or Golden Apple Foundation mentorship, is also in place for recently placed graduates. To that end, we already have secured one Golden Apple scholar, and she has begun working at the middle school level for our EL position. And we're, of course, looking for more as we move forward. Next, talking about new partnerships. Mr. Butler touched on it a moment ago about ETI, which stands for Environmental Technical Institute, and as well as Lincoln Tech. So Mr. Turner is an alumni member of ETI. I know one or two people that are part of Lincoln Tech, and both, as some of you probably already know, have outstanding programs in the trade fields. One of the goals for us as a human resources team is not only to recruit and provide for teachers and paraprofessionals, but we want to expand and offer opportunities for every member of the District 159 community. So that means even our custodial staff, our lunchroom staff, everyone that desires to move forward, to do something different or enhance what they've already learned, there's an opportunity. We're starting with ETI. As a matter of fact, ETI has sent us anywhere between 4 and 6 individuals in the last 2 days that are going to be interviewing with Dr. Cortez for positions, because it's important that we have custodial staff, maintenance staff that is ready to buy into our belief, ready to buy into the vision that we have, because we don't come to play, we come to slay. 159 is here and ready to thrive, and so we need the individuals on board to do that. And with their experience in HVAC and plumbing, with the experience that's already boots on the ground in the different schools, this is going to be a competitive, diverse, welcoming, warm workforce. With Lincoln Tech, the same thing. So we're looking to reach out. I'm already in talks, and so is Mr. Butler, with the representative, Lori, with ETI, to talk about partnerships. What kind of programs, discounts can be afforded to us to help our students advance and help our students, our staff advance by becoming their students. And so, what are we doing about this? Well, this is the fun part. It's time for spring. Hello, somebody. It's time for the job fairs. Okay? So, kicking it off, you see there are 9 job fairs or 8 job fairs that are already planned and more to come. So with March, March is like a loaded potato, baked potato. We have a lot going on. But we're kicking it off with February 22nd with Lincoln Tech. So there's a job fair there. March 2nd, University of Illinois at Chicago Circle Campus from 3 to 6 p.m. March 7th, with the Illinois Association of School Personnel Administrators, will host a virtual fair. And then March 8th, the very next day, the Golden Apple Foundation is hosting a virtual fair. And with that, we have Ms. McCaskill, Dr. Streeter, Mrs. Etherly are all a part of that virtual fair with us. And that is the second virtual fair that we're doing with Golden Apple. We did one in the fall, I think it was October or November, and we had several individuals from Woodgate, Dr. Streeter. We had teachers involved with that as well. March 10th, National Louis University. Hey, my alma mater. They trained me in my teaching skills, so thank you, National Louis. There's an education fair there. March 21st, Eastern Illinois University. Much love there. Some roots there, and Dr. Streeter is planning to join in with that as an alumni member. So we will have a strong force and a strong presence to recruit students there. And then I can tell you from both personal and professional experience, Eastern is nothing to play with when it comes to the education program. So we are excited about all of these ventures. Same with St. Xavier University, March 14th. And this says Elementary School District Spring Career Fair. Yes, to be determined. We're looking at it for May. It may fluctuate, but we're planning to do something in-house that we can invite the community, so it won't be just for teachers. Most of these fairs here are based on education, with the exception of Lincoln, and then Environmental Technical Institute is hosting a career fair sometime in May. But the fair that we will host will be district-wide for all positions. Okay. We've been working. We are busy and busy. Okay, now, once we get them in the door, we need to retain them. So the retention incentives to Thrive in 159. From a personal and professional standpoint, I had to look at it from a few different lenses. And so it's not just about the money. Yes, the money is important. I mean, we have to eat. Taxes are going up. Eggs cost, it's just ridiculous. We'll be talking about oxtails and everything, everything is high. So we understand the need for earning a good salary, but we also understand the need for enjoying where you work, finding peace when you come to work. Because if you really think about it, I used to tell my students, you're with me 8 hours a day. You're with me more than you are with your parents. So, same thing with work. We're with each other more than we are with our own family. So we might as well enjoy the time together. So what are some of the incentives? Health and wellness programs via district benefits. So we're going to, most of these things are already in place. Now we're just taking it to another level to promote them better. The Grow Your Own program is expanded to include staff with interests other than teaching. Continued and improved partnerships with Grand Canyon University for staff for educational advancement. And to that end, well, I'll come to that in a second. Did I just go there? Okay. Mid-year temperature check. All right. So we just released a temperature check using a Google form for our new hires from the end of April through now. So that is still in process, so they have until the 10th. So anybody watching, if you haven't done it, please get that in. It helps us to understand what we need to do to improve what we're doing well, and also any suggestions that will help us as we move forward to Thrive in 159. So we're also going to expand that mid-year temperature check to the entire district, because we want to know how you are feeling, what it is that you would like to see happen, because we know you're vested in this community and in the work that you do. We also have the weekly vacancy list postings to internal audiences to keep staff informed. Please note this, that even though when we have the vacancy list is posted, there may be times when there are positions that say is open. It is and it isn't, because we're in the process, maybe we already in the process of hiring someone, but we don't want to pull it down until we are sure, right? Everything is solidified and etched in stone. So that list goes out every week internally so that to keep the staff informed. And of course, they are asked to share that list with external audiences to help promote. Exploration of establishing partnerships with trade schools, again, ETI, Lincoln Tech, community colleges, Prairie State is on the list, Moraine Valley, South Suburban College, and the list goes on. We build it into the consortium to post jobs. We also post jobs on Handshake, which has a plethora of schools, both community colleges and four-year universities, so that they are aware of the positions that we have. And then we can also be proactive in going after them and seeking them out and asking them, hey, come and interview with us. We like what we see on your resume. And then the Chat and Chew. Chat and Chew with HR is, the first one is coming up the week of February 21st, the day after President's Day. We will start, but we're also going to do that in conjunction with Grand Canyon University. So they'll have a lunch and learn, and we'll have a chat and chew. 2 different tables, keeping them somewhat separate, because we want to have an opportunity for staff members to come and speak with us personally about some things, or just get basic questions, or just say hi. And we want to get to know the staff as they want to get to know us. And Amanda Gingrich is also going to be involved with that chat and chew from the payroll area side. And then internal promotions. One of the things that I love about 159, since I've been working here, is that you promote from within. That's big. That shows trust. That shows that you value the employees and their love for the community. And so we are excited about helping to advance in this area and promoting people based on their performance, their abilities, their skill set, and their interest. It's all wrapped up and interwoven together. And then we have enhanced mentorship programs that we are planning right now. We want to make it more robust, add a little meat to it, stir that pot up a little more, right? And make it where people will enjoy the mentorship experience as well for teachers and staff. So with Dr. McCoy and his team, I love when I watch them talk to these young men that are coming in the door, getting their first full-time job, and they're taking them under the wings. They're seeing them as more than just an employee, but as a potential leader for this district or wherever they may go. So that mentorship that is unofficial, but then we're also going to have some more official mentorship programs. We're even in talks with Governor State because they offer a mentorship program for teachers. So we're trying to work a few different avenues, and we'll see what pans out in the end, but just kind of giving you a tidbit of what we're doing. And then we are focused on this vision. ESD 159 is focused on a welcoming, supportive culture and workplace belonging. That is the forefront in our mind as we do the work every day in HR and in business services. Keep going, okay. Well, I think that is all I can think of right now.
Okay, so just a few more slides that are kind of more pointed in terms of data, in terms of compensation. Oh, I can't see that. So we have, okay, just make myself, okay. So we have for building administrators, I did those first. And so at the top, we have the market midpoint, 50th percentile. So whenever you are creating a salary range, you start with the average from looking at various districts and data, and then you create the market midpoint from there. And so you see the different salaries. I don't have the names up here, but if you have questions, you can ask me that. And then we have the business office here, and then the office of the superintendent. And so, specifically, I just want to highlight in some of the comparing the current pay rates and the market midpoints, there's a big disparity in some of the for our administrators who are in district office. And so, as we are looking at new contracts, we're looking at employee compensation. It's just something to consider. It's not that we should open the Brinks truck up and just throw out compensation, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we are competitive so that we can retain our high operating and highly competent staff. And so again, if you look at the superintendent, assistant superintendent, there's a pretty good disparity, and it's an opportunity for us to align ourselves more closely with what other districts are compensating for the same level of complexity and experience. Any questions on this?
How many districts did you use to prepare?
15.
And their locations?
I can get the specific, I don't have it up here, but I can provide that on the bordergram. But Orland Park, Frankfurt, looked at Schaumburg, Country Club Hills, Dalton, South Holland, Kankakee, and others.
Will you still be in closed session since you're presenting that now?
No, we can't hear you.
So we won't be able to ask specific questions.
You can, because it doesn't
No.
discriminate.
You already asked the questions I want to ask.
So he can come back, still, person. I just thought it was transparent, we could be transparent of what he's.
I got that, I just wanna know if he'll be back there for further questions, thank you.
Yes. So, and to President Morton's point, one of the feedback that we got on the HR strategic plan is transparency and communication. And so that's one of the reasons why we wanted to make sure this was a big part of what we presented tonight. Any further questions for me? And I will stay for a closed session for additional questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll have Mrs. Owens.
Can I ask this one question real quick? When you did the salary ranges, was this just for like the management, administrative level, not support staff within the district office?
Support staff is included.
It is included?
And then I do.
Every position in the district office? Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
Good evening, Board of Education. Good evening, community and staff. We're all family. Okay, as far as the business and HR, I just want to say thank you to the business and HR team. Job well done. They put a lot of hard work into that. So just wanted to say that. And the first thing that we have a little snapshot. We have the audit. Each board member has their hard copy that has been prepared for them and delivered. The auditor on last board meeting, last month, presented the full audit and gave it overview. So I'm just going to give the snapshot of our net position. And that's in comparison to 2021. So in 2021, our net position was $44,525,460. At the close of 2022, our net position was $50,805,692. And so this is on the agenda for approval for tonight. Next, we have the transportation plan update. And we have done some more digging, and in this presentation, each board member has a copy of it. And if you don't have a copy, let me know. I'll make sure that you have it. But you'll be able to click on the hyperlink just to kind of look at the embedded documents for detailed support where you can dig into it. But as far as the bus leasing information, that was presented during the December, I believe the December board meeting. And there was a company who was able to lease the buses to our district. And at the end of the 5-year lease, we would be able to purchase it for $1. So that was really, really good. And the cost of a used bus for lease was around about $17,000 per bus. And so it was $37,000 a year to lease 2 buses. And that would be over a period of 5 years. And so there were other companies that had other options, but they were electric only. Most of them do not come with seat belts. You have to do that purchase afterwards, or they couldn't service our needs within the time span that we needed. So
that was the background on that busing information. And as I stated, if you click on the link, the detail will be there for you to review. Grant applications will be completed. Those grant applications have not opened up yet. Once they open, I know for sure we have one in March that's coming. We will be applying for those grants because the grants provide not only leasing funds to lease, but funds to purchase buses. There is also a new grant that will be coming out soon where we're going to apply for, and not only will they provide, they're really, really pushing electric buses. They want this to be eco-friendly. And so this grant is huge. It's bigger than just electric bus transportation. They're also pushing for HVAC. And so this grant will be utilized not only for us to reach out for buses, they also will include the cost for charging stations as well. So that grant is very, very appealing, just the way it's written. We're also applying within that same grant to take care of as much as we possibly can the Seed and Prairie HVAC upgrade. And so that will all be embedded in there as well. The transportation overview, we will need a transportation coordinator. And so we've come up with a stipend amount for an employee that we already have as opposed to hiring a brand new position for it. We felt that it would be in the district's best interest to get someone, to have someone that has the experience that's already with our district. And so we estimated a $7,500 stipend, which would be dispersed bi-weekly. And those duties would include basic oversight, the dispatching, the scheduling of all of the different drivers that's going to be needed, the maintenance scheduling that's going to be needed, just the overall package of how this has to work, the training, making sure that all of the drivers have the necessary certifications, because you can have a CDL, but you still have to have an S license to drive students on a bus. So we wanted to make sure that we have a coordinator, someone that can do that work. As far as drivers, we're going to need 4 drivers with CDL credentialed, and then we prefer that they are employees already of the district. And the outlook is that it would be at a rate of $20 an hour, which is the market rate of what you can get paid at any company in the surrounding area. This would be paid bi-monthly. It's actually going to be paid hourly, per hour, but they'll get paid via their timesheets that they submit. It shouldn't say bi-monthly. It should say that they would get paid over the 26 pays. But it will be based on a timesheet. So if they don't submit a timesheet because they haven't worked, they won't get paid. The idea behind needing 4 is so that we have 2 drivers and we always have 2 on standby ready in case someone is absent. There is not a time that I've experienced where the majority of employees do not take one single day off work. But the students will need services 176 days throughout the school year. So that's the reason behind having 4 licensed drivers. The maximum number of hours per day, we're estimating 5 hours a day. Mainly 4 hours throughout the day for the driving, but we also have to take into consideration that they have to get the buses warmed up, they have to make sure that the buses are maintained, and they also have to make sure that the buses are fueled. And so when we took a look at all of that, it was 5 hours, which is for 176 days throughout the school year. The criteria includes but is not limited to minimum attendance. If there's an in-house employee that has shown that they are not going to be at work, then we would not select that candidate. Adherence to the schedules, being here when you're supposed to be here and on time, showing that already within their normal workday. Adherence to policy, punctuality, professionalism. This is not a laundry list, but these are the things that they would be responsible for in order to be selected. Are there any questions based on this? I do have another slide regarding transportation.
I do have a question, and I don't know if your other slide is going to address it. You need 2 drivers, but you're going for 4 because you want to make sure there's coverage. We're looking at how many buses?
2.
What if a bus breaks down?
If the bus breaks down, you're saying what, will we reroute the one bus?
So you have backup for absence.
Mhm.
Do we have a backup plan for maintenance issues?
Well, at this point, if we have a bus breakdown, currently we have a third-party company, and they're doing the busing now. And so in an emergency, we would call and see if they are available to get something set up. And we can plan it out where they would already know what our schedule is, and they have it provided. And if that day comes, them having someone ready and on hand, even if we can partner with them and say, hey, even if you don't have the driver, we have the drivers, are we able to utilize your bus? And so we can work those type of agreements out with that third-party company that we already have.
One question, transportation coordinator. That stipend, is that for one person, or can you break that down?
Yes, that's for one person.
Or for the year?
Yes.
Okay. I was like,
Yeah, no, that's to be dispersed. No, that's for the whole year, just one flat stipend of $7,500, which will be dispersed bi-weekly. So we have quite a few employees that get different stipends, and we just spread it out and divide it by 26 payments.
And because this is supposedly for current employees, and we're talking potentially 5 hours a day, those employees would be working somewhere else for the remainder of the day?
Yes.
They could potentially be someone that, like, if you work in the kitchen, or if you, we're just trying to look at someone, or maybe you are someone that is, crossing guard. Remember, they only work
Custodian that does night shift.
morning, afternoon. So there's potential for someone that already works for us that does some of those jobs that are like an hour, 2 hours, and that also helps us they're already employed with us. Then they're able to do that route during the day. They can do that morning, afternoon. We were just trying to be real creative as to, so that we can also provide, as the HR talked about, more opportunities for the people who already work for us.
So will you be able to consider some of our custodial staff as well?
Yes.
For like they'll have a full-time job, but this could be a part-time?
Potentially.
Okay.
Yes, we're trying to be as creative as possible and provide a lot of opportunities for our current employees.
So I'm not sure if you want me to pull up the tentative schedule. We have a schedule for the current transportation. It's just a draft. If you would like to see it, we can pull that up. Otherwise, if you want, you can click on it at your leisure. Would you like to see it now or at your leisure? Perfect. So here we have, I hope you can see it. I just did an overall associated cost that would be in addition to the, should we lease, it would be in addition to the $37,000 per year for the lease. And so we're looking at the coordinator at $7,500. And then we have the drivers. So each driver, if we take a look at the number of hours that they would work. So we're looking at $20 an hour at 5 hours a day. So each driver could potentially earn, and I say potentially earn because once again, it's based on the hours you actually work with your timesheet. But we're looking at each person potentially earning $17,600. Also, we have the CDL school bus permit costs $60. And so as a district, we would be pushing it and promoting it to build from within, and therefore we would cover the cost associated. And the cost listed is $60 per person. So that would be, to get 4 drivers licensed would be $240. And if the coordinator needs it as well, then it will be a $300 cost to the district for 5
individuals to have the CDL with the school bus permit option. That snapshot gives a total of $78,140, what that would cost just for the individuals to be paid. Then we take a look at the route, the miles. We estimate that it would be 33 miles a day that would need to be routed, and that's just based on our school buildings from one to the next. So what I took was the furthest school, Neil Armstrong, and I used that as my baseline for mileage. And so for over 176 days a year, we're talking about 5,808 miles per day per bus. And so we are looking at $11,616. We also took a look at the fuel cost. Right now, the fuel is we're looking at $3.50 to $3.75 per gallon for fuel. We're not talking about gas, we're talking about diesel. And with that, once again, I used the 5.5 miles per gallon. So we're looking at 1,936 miles the gallons of gas that we would need for the mileage that we would travel. So the fuel cost for a fill-up would be $1,200, and we're talking an estimated number for the year. And then the number of fill-ups that the district that we would need would be 4 fill-ups throughout the year for each bus. So we're talking about a total of 8 fill-ups. So that grand total of the cost to employ drivers and coordinators, as well as get them licensed, along with the cost for gasoline, we're looking at $90,956 per year. And then once again, this is our estimated numbers based on the current market numbers, current gas mileage. But we know that that always changes. Any questions regarding the costs associated with leasing a bus?
I have a question. With the after-school programs that we actually pay our vendor, right? Would we be able to utilize our own bus services to offset that cost to be able to assist with this tentative cost?
We very well could. The only reason why we pushed out the STEM in the beginning was so that way we as a district become acclimated to the whole process of transporting in-house, which is why we were starting with STEM. But the route for after-school activities would be very, very similar, if not the same. It would be just from the schools to from Colin Powell mainly to the feeder schools. If we go deeper than that, then we have to look at something different as far as scheduling and routing goes. We may have to purchase software for that type of thing, routing. But other than that, that is very, very, very doable to run that transportation. It would bring the cost down for what we pay the vendor.
Yes.
But that will raise this cost. The 90,000 won't be 90,000 overall. It would increase because we would be increasing the mileage and the gas usage and the time for the employees that will be working. Any other questions?
That was a wonderful presentation, but I keep thinking about striving in 159. Why do we always have to look at the basic there, the $20 an hour for the drivers that are responsible for keeping our children safe?
Well, it's not that. The market value, the market rate is $18 to $22. So that is not the base, that is actually the median. And so I pulled the median because why go for the lowest? And there's often times where we look at paying the lowest for certain positions, but we don't want to pay the lowest for other positions. So the focus is always to make sure that we're on target, we meet at the middle, so that we have room to grow and expand, but at the same time, not giving the bare minimum. So the median is $20.
Okay, I understand.
Very good question, thank you.
Any other questions regarding the transportation? STEM expenditure report. Embedded, I have a document that gives just the detailed breakdown line by line, that the board can click on and you can see at any time, but I give you a snapshot. The overall cost for construction and architectural costs, including all the change orders we've paid to date, has not changed since the last board meeting. Our original beginning balance for the project was $5,800,960. The project, after going to bid, became $7,701,035. After the change orders, the cost increased to $8,092,006.30. To date, we have spent $7,665,042.08 in construction costs. We have spent $760,121 in architectural costs, and we have spent $543,257 in reimbursables as well as additional service items. And that's the column that includes the change orders that were beyond the portion that was built into the construction project. We have left to pay $531,686.90 for construction, and we have about $5,650.60 to pay for architectural cost. As far as additional items, the cost for all of the furnishings, all of the electrical, all of the STEM curriculum and the supplies to date, we have spent an additional $1,160,284.51, of which $428,633.48 has been used from grant funds and donations, which would be the Amazon $500,000 that was donated, as well as the ESSER 3 funds. So without the ESSER funds and the the ESSER funds and the donated funds, we have only spent $731,651.03 outside of those grants and those extra fundings. There's a remaining $79,302.42 left from the Amazon donation that we still have yet to use. Keep in mind that STEM is an ongoing cycle of learning. So as long as we have a STEM program, the products that we purchase will be used up. They are consumables. And therefore, when they make projects, we have to replenish the raw materials for them to continue making and creating. That is what STEM education is all about. And so that $79,000 will be very useful for either transporting our STEM students or reproducing all of the raw materials that will be needed to continue STEM education. Are there any questions regarding the STEM costs? The BMO purchases this month, when I say this month, I mean this report, we spent $2,428.40, which is really good. Lower and lower, the way I love it. Yes, and so this gives you the detail of what the funds were spent on. Any questions regarding the BMO monthly expenditure report? Very well. Last but not least, our favorite, fund balance. So for December of 2022 versus 2021, in 2022, we began with a fund balance of $38,776,100.10. Our revenues are now $14,482,019.44. This is a result of, as Ms. Morton stated, this is a result of the revenues now rolling in from tax bills that have been paid.
And so we'll see this number increase more and more as more taxpayers pay their tax bill, which was due December 30th. And so, again, this was a December report. So the tax bill became due in December. So once we see January and February, we should really see an increase from this 14 million. And in December of 2021, our beginning balance was $38,815,917.60. Our revenues was $18,995,578.71. In 2022, our expenditures were $21,950,497.78. December of 2021, expenditures were $17,764,744.44. And our final fund balance for December of 22, should the district have closed out, at that point, we would have a fund balance of $31,307,621.76. And that is in comparison to December of 2021, $40,046,751.87. Are there any questions regarding the fund balance? Very well then, this concludes my report. Thank you, board. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll turn it over to Mrs. Phillips for the opportunity to address the board.
Good evening. Would anyone like to address the board this evening? Well, thank you so much. We do not have any questions, Mrs. Morgan.
Okay. So at this time, we will go into closed session, and I will say one thing we did learn at our retreat is to not spend much time back there, so we will see if we learn something this weekend. Yes, so I would like to make a motion to go into closed session. We going home early tonight. So I motion to go into closed session to discuss the appointment, employment compensation, discipline, collective negotiation, bargaining, and board self-evaluation. Motion.
Second. Motion by Mr. Eric Stone and second by Mr. Franklin. Roll call. Brown. Yes. Eric Stone.
Yes.
Franklin. Morgan.
Yes.
Palmer. Phillips. Yes. And Scott.
Yes.
We will be back.
8:22.
Motion to approve the accounts payable and payroll as follows. Payroll for January 13, 2023, $866,696.41. Payroll for January 27, 2023, $905,111.88. Accounts payables through January 2023, $1,879,116.07. Approval of our audit and approval of the property tax relief grant. Motion?
Motion. Second. Motion by Mrs. Edgecombe, second by Mrs. Palmer. Roll call Brown. Yes. Edgecombe.
Yes.
Franklin. Morton.
Yes.
Palmer. Yes. Phillips.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Motion to approve our certified staff employment, Stuart Adamson, resignation math teacher at Colin Powell Middle School. Gloria Moody, hire sped teacher, Colin Powell Middle School. Linnell Lumpkins, hire long-term substitute at Colin Powell Middle School. Motion to approve the support staff employment termination, Bridget Shell, hire crossing guard at Woodgate. Jamal Edwards, hire custodian at Colin Powell Middle School. Shannon Lowe, hire custodian at Colin Powell Middle School. Cheyenne Peel, resignation, custodian at Woodgate, for the approval of her Cheyenne internal transfer to lunch attendant at Woodgate. Bridget Shell, internal transfer, crossing guard Mari Yates. And Bridget Shell, hire lunch attendant at Mari Yates. And motion to approve the supplemental pay staff as listed for supplemental pay. Motion?
Motion. Motion by Mr. Scott. Second. Second by Mrs. Palmer. Roll call Brown.
Question, do that change that we okay in closed session, does that need to be?
Staying on here?
Oh, not,
No, we have to do it on you. That's something that's in front of the board.
all right, yes.
Edgecombe.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Morton.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
And Scott.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second. Motion by Mr. Scott, second by Mrs. Palmer. Brown.
Yes.
Edgecombe. Franklin. Morton.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Phillips. Scott.
Yes.
Okay, then.
You got it. Good night,